Let's get an update on the situation now from Darren Lyn, who joins us from Houston, Texas. So Darren, seeing those numbers over the past few days have been shocking in the United States, but I guess to professionals, not so shocking considering how quickly the Omicron variant is spreading.
That is correct, Michelle. You mentioned about the record in the U.S., 356,000 daily cases per day on average for the past week. That means in the past week in the United States, there have been 2.5 million cases. Give you a little perspective on that. At the beginning of January of this year, the cases were at a peak at 1.7 million. So we're talking almost a year later, there are 800,000 more cases, and most of them are the Omicron variant. Now, here in Texas Governor Greg Abbott asked the Biden administration, President Biden, for federal help. We're talking about more testing locations, more staffing for hospitals, and more antibody treatment. And that's important because one of my friends in Houston is an ER doctor, and he tells me that the hospitals, the ER rooms are at capacity and they need that help. And when it comes to the Omicron variant, everyone who is not vaccinated, a lot of those people are filling up those hospitals, those ER rooms, and taking away from other more needs that are for emergencies. So what happens is we need help here in the state of Texas and all the United States because of this surge. And the thing is, it is a surge right now. We're at the very end of December, and for the actual peak of Omicron, we are told that it may not be until the end of January. So we're talking about another 30 more days. So this federal help is needed. This need to combat the Omicron in any way we can, because as you said, around the world, this is taking place. In the United States, it's hitting hard. And so all the help that we can get here, especially in the state of Texas right now, is very important.
So tell us about across the country, the state of those emergency rooms. Are we already seeing a crisis situation with so many cases?
Definitely, Michelle. In terms of ER rooms that are packed to capacity, they're turning people away, or they're making them wait in the ER, but they're not getting the treatment. And so whether you're there for a heart attack, whether you're there for some kind of wound, like a gunshot wound, you're not getting treated because COVID has taken over all the ERs, all the capacities are full. And so when we're talking about testing, think about that. The testing right now, the 2.5 million cases, that's in the testing that is being recorded because there are not enough test kits right now. So that number is likely to be much higher. In fact, here in Houston, they need more testing centers because I've had friends whom unfortunately their kids have come down with symptoms. They've been trying to go to the rapid testing site or even the 2 or 3 day testing sites, and the car lines are 40, 50, 60 cars long, and they have to go to another site, and then that line is even longer. And so people are not even being able to get the test. So across the United States right now, 15 of the 50 states are above where they're supposed to be in terms of the cases that they're having. They're having peak and record cases right now. And again, with the surge happening at this moment, with the peak not expected for another 30 days, this is becoming a really big problem here in the United States.
And of course, another really big problem since the beginning has been the large number of unvaccinated people. I mean, we just read out the latest numbers. The fact that just over 60% of Americans are vaccinated, that is still quite low, especially when you compare that to many countries in Europe. And the fact that about less than a third of Americans have a booster shot, that's pretty stunning. Are we seeing more hesitancy now because it's booster time, or because of how fast Omicron is spreading in the U.S.? Are we starting to see those numbers pick up?
Michelle, you're seeing a combination of all of that. There has been a skepticism in the United States. Unfortunately, it's very politically motivated about the vaccine not being effective, or that the science is wrong, or there's some sort of hoax. There's a lot of misinformation going on. So then the people who have hesitantly gotten their shots, now they're being told to get a booster, and they're like, why should we? And then they find out, well, people are getting sick with the Omicron. Well, unfortunately, with this mutation, yes, the Omicron variant is hitting people whom are vaccinated. But I'll tell you this from a firsthand perspective. Unfortunately, my family, my wife, myself, and my son got sick with the Omicron variant 10 days ago. We were sick. Yes, we had flu and cold symptoms such as sore throat, fever, runny nose, chills, and it was horrible. But our doctor told us the reason why we're only suffering those minor symptoms of cold and flu, that's because we have been fully vaccinated. My wife and I have both COVID shots for Pfizer in addition to the booster. My son is under 12 and he has both of the shots from Pfizer for under 12. And we ended up being able to stay at home getting better. Yes, it took 7 to 10 days and it was kind of miserable, but really, is that a misery that you're willing to go through knowing that you're not in the hospital, that you're not on a ventilator? And unfortunately, a lot of people aren't seeing that right now. And like you said, the numbers show much of the United States, if they're not fully vaccinated, they're not getting the booster. And doctors say that the booster is crucial in fighting this Omicron variant and making sure that you don't get sick and have to go to the hospital.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising that anybody's willing to take that risk now, given the sheer numbers in the U.S., how quickly it's spreading. And almost every day we see a story there about somebody who denied vaccines work. They're young, and then they get coronavirus and they die. I mean, that's been in the headlines a lot too. All right, Darren, always good to talk to you. Thank you.